Hey team, Macho Models here with a review of the Harder Steenbeck Evolution CR Plus airbrush that I got from Spray Gunner. So out of the box, if you guys haven't seen any kind of Harder Steenbeck stuff, you get this pretty cool carrying case. I think I've commented before, people liked it, that this looked like something out of the 80s, which I really dig. Comes with a stainless steel cap protector, which is pretty cool. I'll show you guys in a little bit how I use that and what are some of the applications for that when you're using your airbrush. And it also comes with this lid cup. Excuse me. So with a lid cup, pretty self-explanatory. I don't see a lot of scale modelers using this. I usually see when people are doing that kind of paint work over extended period of time, they'll put this over top of their airbrush. So pulling the airbrush out, and I'll go ahead and get rid of this now. You guys can see my 1, 2, 3 blocks in the background. Some initial impressions of this. It's very weighty. So what I'm planning to do with this one is actually a 0.4 tip. So I want to use this for more wide coverage. And when I go into my video here in a moment to show you guys what I plan on spraying, you'll see the how and the why. It also out of the gates comes with a big cup, which I really like. My other Harder Steenbeck cup came, I think this is the 15 milliliter one, and some of the other Harder Steenbeck ones out of the gates come with a 5 milliliter one. So I really like that this one comes with a nice big cup, which is great. And as per usual with all the Harder Steenbeck stuff, it always comes with their quick disconnect. And the good news is that this is a pretty universal adapter, so this works with most compressors. And you know, before I kind of dive into some nuts and bolts, it's just to talk about, I think I mentioned a moment ago, the heft. It's great. It's got a lot of heft to it. So that being said, I don't know if this is necessarily one that I want to spray with for a long amount of time, but I think just for what I'm intending to do in terms of getting in and getting my base coats down and or priming done and getting in and out as quickly as possible, I think this is going to be a really cool tool. So so with that, I'll go ahead and step away from this, and the next time we come back, you guys should be seeing some shots of me spraying. Okay team, and we're back. So I just got done doing some spraying with this. Admittedly, it wasn't a ton of spraying, but I think it's enough for me to kind of start to, you know, paint some differences for you guys and to kick off a discussion about what I think. Overall, just, you know, out of the gates, and I won't bury the lead too much. I really enjoyed spraying with the Harder Steenbeck Evolution CR Plus. You know, to give you guys just a very quick history of airbrushes that I've used, this is the third airbrush that I've had. So prior to my Evolution AL Plus, I had a Badger, and I had that for about a year, and then I got the Evolution AL Plus sometime in, I believe it was August of 2018, and then I recently got this about a month ago. So going from the Evolution AL Plus to the CR Plus, it's been cool. And there's actually some really interesting differences that I'll talk about the two here. And I definitely think that these two are going to be a great combination for my, my hobby work. So with the CR Plus, this is a 0.4 nozzle, and this is a 0.21 up here with the AL Plus. And the 0.4 has a considerably higher output. What one could garner is actually double. And spraying with this, it was very noticeable. In a moment here, I'm going to cut to a bit of footage as I'm talking, and you can see when I'm spraying some lines. So for instance, I tried to do each of these at a pretty steady rate. I sprayed the Evolution CR Plus at about 3 inches away from a paper with about medium pressure, and did 3 lines. And I did the same for the AL Plus. And what you'll notice is that for the Evolution CR Plus, you get about a line that's about 1 inch thick. And then for the AL Plus, it's almost about 1/2 of an inch. And kind of the so what there is that when you're spraying, you know, you can kind of get in and out of a job really quickly. When I had my Badger airbrush in the past, I really was troubleshooting a lot of little things with it. You know, admittedly, I was pretty new to the, you know, airbrush scene, so probably some experience would have helped me get through that. But I've done another breakdown about the Evolution AL Plus and the components that I really like, and I'm not going to try to drive into it a little bit more. But the long short is these German components are fantastic. They break down really easily. They fit together beautifully. So as a result, I found that my process is a heck of a lot better and a heck of a lot tighter. And I think adding the CR Plus is just going to get me even better about optimizing and utilizing my time, especially for kind of the wide applications, which I'll talk to in a little bit. So the coverage. I'm going to cut here to a moment to a clip of me spraying a fender. So the fender for this model truck, you know, it's about probably, call it 3 to 4 inches. And something that you'll notice is that I'm able to get kind of consistent and good coverage really, really quickly. Admittedly, when I was trying to spray on camera and I was juggling, you know, working around the camera and with the airbrush, I probably didn't have the best technique. You know, working these things is kind of like working a clutch, like Duke's model says. It takes a little bit of finesse. But that being said, some of the other times when I was spraying, I got to finesse it a little bit better, and I was really, really happy with the results. The other thing, too, that you'll notice, I'm going to cut to another clip here where I'm going to show me spraying a steering wheel. The 0.4 nozzle was not good for spraying a steering wheel. It was definitely a bit of an overkill, and I could tell when I was spraying that, you know, I was putting it on a little bit thicker than I wanted to. So that being said, kind of if I was to split on my workflow, I would put my larger pieces and I would spray them with probably both my primer and my paint with my 0.4, and then I'd switch back to my AL Plus for anything smaller. And that's where I can kind of see these two airbrushes having, you know, a both complementary and a split workflow to kind of help out and kind of get me out the door, you know, a little bit quicker. The other piece that I wanted to touch on here too was the price. So I know a lot of folks kind of look at the Harder Steenbeck line and they see them as like the Bentley or a very Gucci airbrush, and rightfully so. These are beautiful, beautiful machines. And, you know, full disclosure, this one I got from Spray Gunner, and this was a gift that they passed along to me for being a partner with them for the last 6 months or so. However, is that this retails for about $200, and then the AL Plus, which I did buy, goes for $230. That being said, I know a number of folks that are on their second or third Iwata Neo, and I would argue, or I would posit that if you had potentially one of these Evolution CR Pluses or any one of the Harder Steenbeck ones, and if you did a decent job of maintaining it, I think that you probably wouldn't be on that second or third Iwata Neo or whatnot, or any of the Badger Patriots. I really think the longevity on these ones are going to be great. You know, that being said, I'll also make the concession and go back to one of my earlier points and say, you know, I'm usually pretty lucky if I can get about 8 hours per week. So maybe I'm not putting the same miles that a lot of other folks are doing. Some little kind of finer points too about the Evolution CR Plus that I noticed that was different about my AL Plus. The trigger is a lot lighter on this one, so the AL Plus gives me a little bit more tension and a little bit more feedback. I found that this trigger was a little bit lighter, and I think maybe it had to do with the weight of it. Another big piece too, I talked about the output a little bit earlier. When I'm spraying this, you know, it's doubling the output of my other one. I could actually feel it coming back. So, you know, much like a heavier rifle, I think that the additional weight of this is there to kind of offset the pressure that's coming out of it. And I thought they did a phenomenal job of balancing that out. I also really liked that since the trigger was a little bit lighter with a heavier weight, I didn't really feel much fatigue. Admittedly though, you know, what I was spraying wasn't too much. But just some kind of smaller points about the CR Plus. And again, if you wanted to get a little bit more breakdown stuff, I have another video talking my AL Plus, and, you know, leave a comment or whatnot, and I'm happy to kind of dive into this anymore. The last, but, you know, kind of fun point here is that I partnered up with Spray Gunner, and they actually want to run a promotion this month. So if you go and buy any Harder Steenbeck Evolution or Infinity, and you add the code MACHOADDS, ADDS, and I'll put that in the description as well, you'll get this free cleaning kit from Harder Steenbeck. And the cleaning kit actually retails for about $40, and it's super cool. So I actually don't have the cleaning kit, but I bought all the individual parts myself of it. And I can tell you, just from this parts breakdown alone, this is $40 right here, and then you also get another one of these Harder Steenbeck cleaning needles, which I really, really dig. So I have a video about this. This is one of the things that I do if I ever have a little kickback in my airbrush, but I use this little needle. And some of you guys have probably seen this. They make a cheaper version of this, but this is what the super duper German version looks like. And it's a really, really nice stainless steel needle. And one of my favorite parts about this, I know it seems dumb, but it has this little screw back here so that it's not going to roll off your hobby bench. So before I got this Harder Harder and Steenbeck one. I actually went through 2 of the cheaper brass ones because I left them on my hobby bench, and what do you know, they rolled off and they hit the ground and the needle bent. All right, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you liked this video. I put a little bit, tiny bit more production value into this with some cutaways. And as always, you know, hit me up. I know I think I'm one of the few people in the kind of Gundam / sci-fi field that's painting with Harder and Steenbeck stuff, but I'm a huge proponent of this, and I'm hoping I can win some of you guys over and kind of come over to this side and check it out.